Live streaming is on.
Hi, folks. Um, we have a few updates that I find interesting here. Um, so um, we have found out the source of a few inefficiencies uh, that come from Prosody in very large polls, and we are looking for ways to address those. Boris, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Basically, the problems we found is that a lot of the load comes from signaling sources. So when a participant joins the conference, apart from presence, it signals sources via Jingo, and that has to be propagated, and the format is very inefficient. Meaning it takes a lot of bytes and it's encoded as XML, which means that browser has to parse it. So there's a quick optimization there. We are converting the sources to JSON and passing it that way, which reduces the load on Prosody and network traffic as well. So that's work in progress. Should be done within the next couple of days.
Thanks, Boris. I also so we have this issue where unified plan is also becoming problematic with very large polls. Would anyone like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the bug that we found in Chrome is something to do with renegotiations when you have too many senders, which corresponds to the number of M lines we have in the SDP. So if you have too many of those in your remote SDP and then the client tries to renegotiate, it takes longer and longer. So this is a Chrome bug and they're in the process of actually fixing it. So the fixes are coming in M93. So they should be in before the Plan B gets deprecated. And on the same line, so I just wanted to remind everyone that the Plan B deprecation is going to happen on Chrome M94, which is going to hit stable on September 21st. So we have about a month for you guys to actually upgrade to the latest stable, which is 206173. Like if you haven't actually signed up for the reverse origin trial, so you do have to upgrade it. There's no way around it. Yeah, that just wanted to remind people about this. That's it.
Thank you, Jaya. I saw this post today on Facebook in the Jitsi group where someone was saying that they were happily using VP9 now in their production. So that's cool. And they were asking if there were any updates for VP9 support on mobile. I don't believe so is here, but if anyone wants to talk a little bit about VP9 and whether we have any outstanding tasks there, feel free to chime in now.
So we have an issue with VP9. We actually rolled it out on Jitsi in the last release, but then we had to revert it because there was an issue with screen sharing and VP9. There were certain cases with screen share and SVC where like if you had all the some of the lower streams enabled and then suddenly you switch to just turning on the high resolution stream, then the browser tab would crash. So this is a known issue and the Chrome guys are trying to fix it. So until that happens, we'll have to actually switch back to VP8.
Thanks, Jaya. Maybe we should look at that one as well and see when we fix it. Would anyone else want to add any updates from the team?
So I know that there's been interest in the community of running the Jitsi backend on an ARM server rather than Intel. That should now be supported, at least for the core JVB and Jitsi backend. We've added some ARM libraries for that. I'm sorry, JVB and Jacofo. Jitsi we're less certain about. We haven't tried that, and it's a little harder to do. It might work, depending on your configuration, but there's some native libraries it tries to use, which is sort of old crufty code that we don't really understand. But if you give that a try, let us know in the community how well it works.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anyone else from the team? I'm really excited about the ARM stuff as well. So anyone out there running a more sizable deployment, you're probably going to see noticeable cost changes if you switch to ARM. So it's quite exciting. All right, opening the microphone to the floor.
Hello. I have questions this time. Hi, it's Hagai.
Of course. Hi, Hagai.
Hi. So one question, probably the most important one, is just translations. I didn't really understand what's going on with that and how to do that. We have a Vietnamese section of the company, and they would like to translate a lot of stuff. How would we go about that?
For now, it's just creating PRs. We haven't moved the project of having a translation system.
No problem. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was going to do a PR anyway if I didn't catch you today and ask, so it doesn't matter. Next question is the code for the emojis, because you can like send emojis now, which is pretty cool. What you have, is that something that is also released on the project, or is it only
it's nearly there?
Nearly there.
It's nearly
okay.
there. And well, it is in master, right? So if that's what your question was, I don't think it's in the stable release yet, because it isn't really stable yet. We had a few issues with, like, they're supposed to have audio as well, specifically for,
cool.
for people who have their phone in their pocket, and at some point we're also supposed to add Jitsi support for them as well. In complete honesty, so I love that feature. I think it helps you flag parts of the call, so you can maybe then do additional things with that, like store screenshots of whatever was happening, because obviously something important happened. Well, noteworthy at least. But I've been also wondering about how people would react to the audio reactions and whether they would find that disruptive or not. And so there might have to be adjustments there depending on, just how it feels. And how it feels would depend a lot on how people use it. Does it tend to get abused or not? That sort of stuff. So it'll be possible for everyone to easily disable audio in case it bothers you. But that might still not be the best way to handle it. So anyways, just a heads up that there's likely some additional tweaking that's necessary in the UX field there.
I found it interesting that in the comments, if you send a lot of emojis, then you see them also in the comments. So that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's good. Sure.
Well, it's part of the same thinking. There's this potential for abuse. So we want some accountability, right?
Okay.
If you're going to, keep pressing on laughter or something, well, then you have to be comfortable doing it as yourself, right? And not hiding behind anonymity.
It's about who you are. Okay, interesting.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that.
Right.
Cool. So that leads me to the next question with the Docker build process. Is there like a Docker build that someone made, or would I have to write up a Docker file for that? Because I think I did actually build master, but I only then took the two folders, libs and CSS, and moved them with some comment on someone on Jitsi community told me to move these two directories to inside the Docker compose Jitsi repository, and then build the web again. Is there a better way to build web?
We have
from Docker?
official Docker images that are being updated on every stable.
But there's no way to, like, there's no Docker file just to build web, so I can put the code there and just build web. There's, of course, Docker, like official Docker images, but I mean, if we change code, then we don't really want to.
You can look at the Docker files for the images we push. Maybe you can reuse something from there.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, tweak it a little bit and get that done. Limit per room is hard-coded to 75, if I read correctly, and you can do like a prosody module. No, that's not true. Not hard-coded.
No, there is nothing hard-coded, but you can have restrictions by enabling a module by yourself.
Okay, so what's the 75 limit that I read? Is that something else?
That was the limit on me Jitsi for some time.
Ah, okay, but you use this limit via the prosody module that you created.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Now it's clear. Okay, thanks. One last thing that I just noticed today was I think there's some kind of bug with Android. I went in from Android and it showed me only one user in the middle of the screen. That was pretty weird. Showed me one user in the middle of the screen, but it kept popping up like more users are joining. So eventually I left and joined through the browser today, but if you've never heard of it, maybe I'll make a report.
Was this on master?
This is on the official Jitsi. I didn't touch that official Jitsi app downloaded from the Play Store.
Okay, I mean, we probably know what this issue is. Yeah, we should be able to fix it soon. Thanks.
Okay, great. So no ticket. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And I'll mute myself.
Thank you, Haggai. Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question if the floor is open. I'm new to the project, very glad to meet everybody. I am putting
Welcome,
together
nice to meet you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm putting together a Jitsi implementation, and I'm finding that one thing that I would like to customize is the authorization model pertaining to who is able to start rooms and who is a moderator in the rooms. And exploring online, looking for resources, it's looking to me like the avenue to do that is a custom Lua module for Prosody. And I just want to put that on the floor to see if I'm on the right track, if that's where I need to keep working. Or I've also seen some reference to the iframe API, but I am confused a little bit about that because I'm hoping to also support the web app, not the web app, the mobile app. And I'm not sure that I feel like I've seen indications that the iframe wouldn't be suitable for that. So I just want to put that on the floor. Am I pointed in the right direction that Lua modules are what I need to be exploring? I'm interested in any input.
So, oh gosh, there's so much to unpack here. So, we resolved many of these issues through Lua modules. But many of them are already resolved, so you don't actually need to add Lua modules. And then we also, there's a certain amount of actions that are kind of directly inherited from XMPP roles. So if you're, if you're using XMPP rows, you might not need to add any code at all, like who's a moderator in the channel and who isn't predetermines some of the things as well. Now, the way that we handle these things, and that's why you need the Lua code, is we use JWT tokens, and those tokens reach Prosody, and those tokens list a certain set of permissions. And the Lua modules would essentially allow or disallow these actions, depending on whether or not the accompanying JWT token allows for them. So could someone here help me with, I'm not sure which one of those are generic and have been published, or and which one have been too specific for the 8x8 scenario, so they aren't published. Damien, are you able to kind of help point there?
I'm trying to wrap my head around the moderator status. Because yeah, so all the permissions about the recording, dial out, and stuff like that, that's implemented and it's in Jitsi. The missing part is who will be moderator. This needs a custom module to decide for the who from the authenticated JWT users will be a moderator in the rooms. That's needed, custom module.
Have we published some of those modules that deal with the JWT tokens? I think we had some of them public, didn't we?
No, this for the moderation, we don't have anything.
Okay, and so the reason for that is primarily because how you allow or disallow things makes sense primarily in a specific deployment. So this was John, right?
Yes.
Okay. That kind of takes us to the next point, and with regard to the iframe API, so iframe is usable on mobile. It used to not be the case on iOS because WebRTC wasn't available in WebView components or in Safari, but now it's available in both. So you can very much use the iframe there, and you would that's just a piece of the equation. It's not the solution, but it's something that you're going to have to consider. And the way that you would consider it is once you add your code that would look at the JWT tokens, you are just going to have to make sure that your iframe is initialized with the JWT token. And the same is true for the mobile native SDK. So to put all of this together, yes, you're right. You would be enforcing the permissions in Lua code. You would probably be doing it primarily based on JWT tokens. And then the final option that you didn't mention, but it could help you, I don't know, is you could use Jitsi as a service where a lot of that stuff is already figured out. So all you're going to have to do is, come in with the right token. And once you configure your tokens, actions will be allowed or disallowed as you have specified in the token. But then it would be the Jitsi as a service deployment, and it wouldn't be your own.
I see. Thank you, Emil, so much. And let me just recap to make sure that I understand properly. So your view is that the way to approach this kind of challenge would be to expect to need both a custom Lua module for Prosody that handles the JWT in some way, although I'll have to figure that out. And then also, your view is that this will require as well an iframe implementation.
Well, no.
Right?
No, the iframe implementation isn't required by this. The iframe implementation, you're probably going to want that by virtue of whatever else you're doing, right? I assume you're probably, maybe I'm wrong, but I was assuming you're probably integrating that in some other logic, business logic, or some other app or Webflow or something And so if that is the case, then you will end up using the iframe API for that reason. Okay, is
I
that what you're
understand.
doing, or are you just deploying a vanilla Jitsi deployment?
I am trying to integrate this with another application that will handle, okay, members can join, and then they can be part of this community that converses over Jitsi. Yeah, so I am
Yes.
integrating with some other things.
So that's where you would need the iframe implementation. I'm saying that the tokens will just keep working through that. They will pass through the iframe and they will reach the server. So and that's how Jitsi as a service works as well, right? You embed our iframe, but you generate your own tokens. You sign them with your own certificates, and you say this specific participant can start recordings, can make telephone calls, cannot do live streaming, and then you send them over with this token, and then it is the Lua modules on our backend that would, do the enforcement based on that.
Okay, let me see if I
Or it
understand
will.
that right. So are you saying that the role of the iframe will be to assign the JWT to that user? That's where
No,
I apologize if I'm not getting this.
No worries. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it. So, no, the role of the iframe is just to embed the meeting. The iframe allows you to pass a JWT token as a parameter. You generate the JWT token from whatever it is that you're integrating Jitsi in. Like, let's say that you have this, I don't know, medical app or something, right? And it is the medical app itself that knows who the user is, whether it's the front end or the back end or a combination of both. And it will be that medical app that will create a token that says that medical user can do recordings. And then when you initialize the Jitsi iframe within the medical app, you will pass that token as a parameter that allows recordings, and the Jitsi infrastructure will allow or disallow recordings based on that token.
Okay, thank you so much for your insight. I don't want to take up any more
Oh,
time.
no worries.
Thank you so much.
It's I guess we could have. It's a messy subject, so.
I guess one last question would be: I understand that there are Lua modules that accomplish this, but they're not available, they're not open. Fine. Is there anywhere to look for publicly available Lua modules that I might be able to use to sort of get my head around it?
Yes, I think there are a few that is dealing
Hey, Damien,
with
we actually have an
moderation.
example.
Yeah,
this is Scott. I just wanted to jump in. We actually have a couple open source examples that are in Jitsi Meet. If you look at Jitsi Meet resources, Prosody plugins, token, that's one. Also, there's another Jitsi project called Lua JWT Jitsi. That is what that example calls. And if you want an example of creating a JWT, there's another Jitsi project called Jitsi/moderated meetings. And so you can look at those as kind of an example of how to cobble some stuff together. I don't know if they would all work together with just running the open source, but that could give you some guidance.
Thank you. I'm just taking notes. So it was 3. There was Lua, JWT, Jitsi.
Scott, do you want to just
moderated.
paste the links in the chat here?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you so much.
I will paste 2 more links.
Thanks again. I'll mute myself.
Thank you for jumping in, John. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, hello. I have a question about a bug we're facing with screen sharing. First of all, first time here on the call. Nice
Welcome.
to meet you. Thank you. Basically, just to describe our deployment real quick, we're running the Docker images. Basically, everything is vanilla except the React code, which is a little bit modified. We're using not the latest stable that came out 3 days ago, but the one before that for the Docker. And the React code, the only thing is it's about 1 or 2 months behind. But our libjitsi is up to date with the latest commits. And so the bug we're facing is basically when you toggle screen sharing, And it works. I can reproduce it both in P2P and without P2P. When I toggle screen sharing, the first time it works well. Both participants can see the screen. Then when it's toggled off and back on, the receiver sees a blank screen. Like you see the video layout is updated, but the screen sharing is blank. And if a third participant joins, he cannot reproduce it. It's only the second participant to join. So I was just wondering if you had any ideas or anything like that, or if you've seen this bug before, because I wasn't able to find anything on the forums or any issues, anything like that.
Is the receiver a mobile client, or is it happening
No,
on
both desktop clients, both Chromium. So I tested on Chrome version 92 and also on Edge, which is Chrome 91, I think, Chromium 91. Yeah.
No, we haven't seen an issue like this. I mean, if you could actually open a ticket and add more details, we could probably and share the logs, then we can probably take a look at this.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that on the forums. Can I tag anyone to take a look?
Yeah, you can tag me, JLMSeri1. You can actually tag me there.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that. Thank you.
Don't tag JLMSeri2 though.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I had a quick question, if there's time.
Go for it.
I was at a meeting yesterday where we were trying to share a small snippet of code in a bash file. And the last 3 characters of that snippet of code had 2 colons and a right parentheses. Unfortunately, when they received that chat, it turned those colons and parentheses into smileys.
Right.
So obviously the code would not work.
Yes.
Is there a way to turn that feature off?
Were you using your own deployment, or were you using one of ours?
No, I was using the Jitsi app image on a Linux machine.
Oh, so it was your deployment.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't know. Does anyone know here if there's a one-line command that this gentleman can do to?
I've noticed it before. Wherever there's punctuation in there, that sometimes it converts it to smileys.
Yeah. So that is 100% the case, and those are the limitations of our chat. We're not a chat app. This is supposed to be a very bare bones thing. And I completely understand how this annoys you. And there are a bunch of other cases that will be annoying. But so the question is, given that you have your own deployment, I think there might be an easy way for you to just go and comment something. Is anyone able?
When you say my own deployment, what do you mean by that? I'm just running the application, the Jitsi app.
You're running your own machines.
I think he means the Electron app.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it's just the application.
Sorry. Then no, I'm afraid not. Sorry. You have to use pastebin, I guess.
I was hoping there was a command line switch I could use to disable the feature.
No, because the code on the Electron app doesn't actually come from the Electron app. It's downloaded from Jitsi every time. So, and we have no way to let you do that. Again, the best I can offer is to use pastebin and to send links to.
Yeah.
To other people. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Anyone else? Okay. In that case,
I I have one more question that I forgot last time. Sorry, last
Go for it.
few minutes ago.
No problem.
Permissions, regarding permissions. So on the permissions of Lua, for some reason, when we run Lua as an image, then we get weird permissions, which just kind of like chooses a random what's it called, ID number, user number, and then it gets mapped to outside of the container. And we wanted to know, maybe is there a possibility to manipulate that, to tell Lua, the Docker image, what user to use from inside?
I have no idea.
Docker?
Does anyone else know here?
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that. You mean the JIT of the XMPP users, or?
Yeah, the XMPP users. That's what it is, I think. Yeah, the Prosody image. Sorry, not Lua. Lua is the language. So when you run the image and you go inside the image and also outside on specific config files, I think the users, the rights belong to users which don't exist on the host machine, but they exist inside the Docker image. And then it's just weird users hanging around, and it would be nice to run the Docker image with specific users saying these are going to be my users I want to be used for this image. Maybe it's a more specific Docker question. I'm not sure if.
Yeah. You want to pre-create users inside Prosody?
I guess, yeah, if that's going to solve it. I mean, I don't mind also, yeah, I guess it's better to just rebuild the image and just hard code it somehow as a specific user for us.
So the users are, Prosody reads them from files, from varlib Prosody. So you can create users by hand and see how they're created there as files. So I suppose in Docker you can have a outside folder attached to the Docker image somehow in that subfolder and provide just the files, and Prosody will read it from there. This is a way to dynamically create the users for Prosody, to just read them from those files.
Okay. Okay.
If that is what you're asking for, drop a post on that forum and can discuss it.
I think I need to rethink this a little bit. I'm not quite sure anymore. I thought I understood it very well, but now I think I'm not really. Yeah. But thanks anyway.
Okay.
All right. I think there wasn't anything else, so everyone.
Sorry, if I could ask one more question. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I just circling back that I realize I need to clear this up. So going down the JWT approach, is that an alternative to LDAP, or would we be using LDAP in addition to JWT?
So, the way that you would make LDAP work is wherever it is that you're. So let's put it this way: there shouldn't be any understanding of LDAP within Jitsi. If you find yourself tweaking LDAP with anywhere within the Jitsi deployment, then that's an indication that something has gone wrong. The way that if there's any place where LDAP should come into play, it is at the time where you're generating the JWT token for the user. At that point, you might want to determine. I mean, ideally, LDAP should have come into play earlier than that, when it is that you log in the user and you create the user context into your own app, and that user context contains whatever properties were read from LDAP, and then you're just going to create the JWT token based on that custom user context that you have. But I suppose then you could maybe make an additional query if you really need to at that point. But once you're done with the token, the whole idea is that the entire transfer of context around the user is purely front end and passes only through the JWT token, and there's no back-end synchronization, no LDAP connections, unlike OAuth, for example, where the two backends have to talk to each other. Does that make sense?
Yes, let me see if I understood. So you're saying that LDAP might be useful in the process of when you're creating the JWT, but then when you are authenticating to Jitsi using the JWT, if you're using the JWT, then there should be no connection between the LDAP and Jitsi.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Hello.
I didn't
Hello.
hear that.
Am I audible?
Kind
Hello.
of. You're dropping out a lot.
Okay. I just joined this meeting using my mobile browser, I mean from phone. And when I'm joined, I get two notifications like live streaming is enabled and the amount show has started the meeting. Only these two notifications I get. But in my this meet instance, when a meeting is going on with a person or three person, when I enter the meeting with as a fourth person, I get notification like you are given moderator privilege and ABC join, XYZ join, and this ABC and XYZ join already joined in the meeting. Is there any way to disable that notification? Hello.
There's a way to disable all notifications in general, yes, through config params. Is anyone here able to drop a quick reference to that?
Yep, I'll paste the link in the chat.
Thank you, Damien. While we're waiting for that link, anyone else?
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to close the code here. Damien is going to paste the link in a second. But other than that, I wish you all a wonderful fortnight and see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.